Hi, folks. Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of The Hitstreak. Check it out. I got to give a big shout out to my show sponsor, my friends over at AVLX. I also have to give a big shout out to Charles Henry and Ace Young, the amazing performers and producers of the music behind the show, as well as the amazing people that make up the Hit Lab creative team, who are the producers of the show. Folks, I have a favor to ask. If you like what you hear, and I know you do, click that subscribe button to make sure you get alerted when new episodes are dropped. Thanks for tuning in.
The real success stories told by the people who live them.
We're going to have some guests on this show that everybody knows, and we're going to have guests on this show that nobody knows yet.
One by one, Nick Hyder is adding hits to the hit streak.
Blessings, folks. Welcome back to another episode of The Hit Streak. I am your man, Nick Hyder, and check it out. Today, I've got a double dose of awesome, a double dose of badass joining me in the Hit Lab today, except one of these guys is in LA, Los Angeles, California, and the other one is in Phoenix, Arizona. Guys, we're going tech crazy today. We got all kinds of good stuff happening. One of the fellas, Peter Meyerhoff, he's been a previous guest. We've heard all about his story, and he actually made a recommendation of somebody that I had to get on the show who is joining us today. That's the gentleman from Los Angeles, Mr. Carlos Vasquez. Carlos, how are we doing, baby? What's happening out there today? What's good?
Good, man. Just blessed and appreciated to be here with you and Peter, two men that I truly respect and admire. And I look forward to this, to be able to, speak my thoughts and let people know what I'm out here doing.
Well, man, I had a killer time with Peter, and I'm actually looking to get some amazing some updates on all the amazing things that he's got going on. But Peter, it was your recommendation. This guy made a huge impact on your life. Right. Yeah. So talk to me. Let's tell the folks about what Carlos has done and why he's had the dramatic impact.
I'll give you a rundown of how when I met him too. I had met him through it's a program called Partnership for Reentry program out there in LA, and there's a lady that's the head of it named Sister Mary is her name. Anybody listen to look them up, and he was, I think, over 60 or 90 days out, and. Yeah. Usually when I'm going on, even when I'm doing stuff for prison or people out of prison, my 12 years is a chunk, and it's usually the most time that people have done out here, and I remember talking in the hallway, and I'm like saying I got 12 years, this and that, and someone makes a comment like, this dude's did 33 years, he did 32 years, he did 42 years, 44 years, and I'm like, I didn't want to talk anymore. And then Carlos comes out, and he was the short time in the house too, and he just got done doing 17 and a half or 20 straight, something like that. And I could just tell he's fresh. I don't know. It was a God thing, I think, but there was some little natural attraction. I saw myself just getting out after that long ass bid, and we're about the same age. And it is tough when you get out after being in prison a long time, especially when you do, time on real prison yards, because there's a huge difference in doing time on minimum camps where you have the free leisure. You could go play basketball for 12 hours a day if you wanted, to doing time. When you're slammed down a cell and you have nothing but your own thoughts, and they're evil thoughts usually. And then you got to deal with all the shit in your own head, and you got to, whatever comes through or whatever problems you get in the mail, you got to deal with those things yourself, So people will never understand the bond that certain individuals will have in prison. You know what I'm saying? When you can have something like when you lost your complete freedom. Yeah. And, you only have your name and your well-being there in prison, So people will never understand that, but like I said, me and Carlos just had that instant bond. And I remember I walked outside the house and I was like, dude, let me just film you for 2 minutes, and we did a little story that I posted back on my Instagram, and just stayed in touch, man. And I was like, I couldn't even comprehend his, what he had just gotten out of in that house at first. And then until I got home because it was in LA when I was out there when I met him. Right. And then I got home and we exchanged numbers, and I was just begging him. I was like, dude, please let me just make sure you know how to do whatever out here, because it's easy to get caught up and slip back in the old lifestyle, especially if you live down the same street. And with social media nowadays, you can get done doing a 20-year prison sentence and hop right back on Facebook and get right back in touch with the same clowns that got you put away. That's right. So I didn't have anything to do with what he's done now, but anyways, we just exchanged long, and I had a feeling we'd have a long bond. And it didn't just grown. And dude, besides Andy Priscilla, Carlos is probably my number one motivator right now. On inspiration.
Man, that's incredible. You had said, you've said it multiple times that Carlos brought the juice. He had the juice, baby. And like, dude, so you hooked me up with him, Carlos. We spoke on the phone about a month ago, I think, for the first time for a while. And you told me a lot of your story. And honestly, man, like just straight up real talk. And I want to play you guys a little clip that he posted today because it's really, really good. But I want to, like, I'm looking at this. You looks like you're so calm and gentle looking, you know, like you don't look anything like the biography that I'm reading in front of me. It's incredible, man. So your story's unreal. We're going to talk all about it. I can't wait. I can't wait to hear some dialogue. Just you and Peter telling stories. I'm super excited for today's episode, man. I really am. It's going to be a lot of fun. And bear with me. The audience can't see this, but I can only see you guys one at a time, right? When you're talking. So work with me on that. But I just want to play a quick little clip, guys. This is what Carlos's Instagram is absolutely phenomenal. It's Carlos_S_Vasquez. VASQUEZ. But let me just turn the volume up here and just play a quick little clip before I turn the mic over to him. So check this out.
So when you think like a warrior, you have to learn the environment and learn it fast. Because if you step foot onto a battlefield and you don't know the enemy, you die. If you step foot onto a prison yard and you don't know your politics, you die. If you step foot into the business arena and you don't know your competition, your business dies. And so going forward, you have to learn the landscape around you because proper planning and preparation produces positive results. Period. So you have to communalize yourself to your environment, survive through it, and then come out on top.
Man, so like, dude, it's fire, right? Fire. So, like, a lot of the people that I have, a lot of my guests are successful in business or just all these other places. And like, what you guys are doing is absolutely phenomenal and incredible, right? So, Carlos, let's tell the folks a little bit about who you are, right? So, I've got here, and interrupt or chime in whenever. But you were a straight A student in Catholic school, okay? So the trajectory, like folks, it was 17 years you did behind bars, Carlos? Was it 17 years?
Yeah, I did 17 years straight in prison this last time, and I've been in and out before that a few times. So
a combined 20, right?
About 20 combined altogether.
And how long have you been out now?
11 months.
11 months. All right. So you grew up.
I didn't even have Instagram still.
That's right. That's right. Oh my. Well,
that's how far ahead of the time he is with me. Like he knows how to edit videos and stuff. And I didn't have Instagram still 11 months out. I was still going to bars and partying. And I thought like I had like the world owed me something.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. He moves fast and a lot of successful people do. And, but like, it's crazy to think that he started out in Catholic school, straight A student. But I've got here that everything in his world changed, by the age of 13, which that's a very sensitive time for me because my son turns 13 in July. So, so your father left. Yeah. Okay. And that affected your mother in a negative way. She became depressed. Right. And then your sister, your teenage sister, who was a couple years, 2-3 years older than you, became pregnant. So father's not there to keep tabs and help. Mom's dealing with sister and her own depression. So you fell into the wrong influences, I guess, would be the right way to say, right? So at 16, you watched your best friend kill himself right in front of you while playing a game of Russian roulette. Caused you to develop PTSD, and which leads to violence and destruction. And then at the age of 19, you were arrested after being hunted down by U.S. Marshals and received 20 years in prison for armed robbery, right? So, all right, let's talk a little bit about that backstory before we lead into all the changes that went on from there, right? So from Catholic school, straight A student to prison.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, man.
Okay. Well, first, I just rewinding back a second. Peter, when he came in, he mentioned something about that he didn't have a part in me being who I am now, but just to clarify, he does. He just, I may not say it, but like him and as well as you, just, being out here to observe you guys, men doing what you're doing is inspiring for me every single day. So just know that. And Peter, and like I've told you before, like you're the reason, a lot of the reason why, I'm on the path that I'm on now, because like you said, you can get lost quick after getting out of that environment, coming into this world. It's a new world. You can get lost quick. So he's kind of he's trying to show me the blueprint, and I'm following that. So thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. So yeah, man, before 13, I was a straight A student. My dream was to play professional baseball. My whole life was revolved around baseball. I played it I played organized sports, but I also played it on my spare time. Like that's how passionate I was about it. And that's what I saw myself doing growing up. And, my father, he was like, he was my hero. He was somebody that I completely admired. He continuously pushed me in sports. He wanted me to be successful in that. He was very intelligent. That's how I think I was able to be so successful in school, because he studied with me. He helped me. And, my family was good. We had a great family looking back. And, but, my father, he made some choices in his life that caused him to get involved with another woman and ended up, leaving us.
Gotcha.
And, just to put some clarity out there, like I don't hold no grudge against my father, now today.
Do you have a relationship with him today?
Yeah, I do. Me and my father are really close now. We didn't talk for so long. And, but now knowing what I know now, how people go through things in life, and make choices in life that aren't so wise or react on impulse. I understand that, he knows, and I understand that he was just a vulnerable person back then, just like I was when I started going on that wrongful path. Yeah. So, but me and him, we do have a relationship now. And, I love my father and I respect him, for telling me that he was wrong and asking for the forgiveness and me giving that back. And I think that was a powerful thing, because at one point I thought I would never forgive the man. And I didn't even I would sit in my cell sometimes and think about him dying. And I felt like if my father died, I probably wouldn't even cry, because that's how much I didn't care about him. Right. But now, like being able to, mend that relationship with him, it's like, I'm so glad I have that opportunity to do that. And so, that's kind of advice I give people now. There's somebody's always going to hurt us, somebody along the way of life. But and if it's somebody, especially family, and if you can, try to work that out, because grudges don't do anything but hurt you, as much as, and people know that. It's just got to do it. You got to be the one to initiate it, to be the man and be like, you know what, I'm sorry. Let's talk about this, or what's going on. Let's iron this out. And so that's what I did. And me and him are close now. But
Peter alluded to that on his episode too, about forgiveness. Both of you guys are saying the same thing, and it's so valuable because, there's, my parents and my own mother and I have had up and down times throughout the years, and now we're better than we ever have been. And a lot of the issues I had were for me, but both of us had a hard time with forgiveness. And I learned that I was giving away real estate in my own mind to somebody else, and by forgiving them, you take it back.
Yeah. That's so true. That's so true.
That's so powerful, man. That's so powerful.
It really is. And, some people don't ever get the chance to forgive others, and I think me and Peter, our thing about forgiveness is so strong, because we were in a place where literally sometimes I even say we died and came back, because when you're that low, when you're when you're in that state of mind, that mindset, that prison of that mental prison, whether it be drugs and stuff like that, and then confinement physically, and you feel like you're basically dead. You're cut off to the world. You're dead to the world. And so when you come back and now you have the opportunities to make things right, it's powerful, and it's life-changing for me. So, and I appreciate, the opportunity to be able to do that with my father.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, but back then, 13, he left. And when he left, my whole life started to spiral. Well, my mother, first of all, she went into a deep depression and forced to work 3 jobs at the same time just to take care of us now, because
Wow.
she had to take on the burden of everything, the bills and everything.
Right.
And then my sister, rebelling and getting pregnant at a young age. And so I felt like that I didn't have no place there. I felt like that I was a burden in my household and that I should be stepping up to be the man now and go bring in help, bring in money. So it was like that kind of led me to run away into the streets, because I'm like, look, I can't go to school no more and live my dream, because I have to take care of my family. They're struggling. They're going through depression. Like, what can I do for them here, just sitting here going to school? Absolutely nothing. And that was at like 13, 14.
Mm-hmm.
So, I said, you know what, I'm going to go into the world and see what I can discover out there. And I did. And I went into the streets and ended up getting around, the people who usually accept people who go to the streets.
Yeah.
Other people who are dealing with issues externally and internally, people that you can find commonality with, like people who, like literally the people that I first connected with, none of them had their fathers around. They were in prison. And so we connected on that immediately. And so we became each other's father. So the older guys gave me some advice, and then the younger guys under me, I gave some advice, and we worked together to fill that void of not having that male role model around.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you develop a connection when you do that. It's like almost like when I was playing sports, me and my team, we had that connection. We had that bond. And then I took that same team mindset and now joined a gang. And that's basically what it was. And so I joined the gang at 14 years old, and, immediately knew what I had to do to survive in the streets, which was to be violent, to sell drugs, to take on this persona as a person who was just callous, who didn't care. Because I saw the guys that were respected, that's what their personalities was. So I molded myself after what I saw. Whether it was just being a fighter, having the heart to fight, and then even carrying guns and using guns and stuff. And it was like that world, that's where you are respected. And that's how you survive ultimately, because if you're weak in that world, you won't make it.
That's right.
So
let me ask you this, because Peter, I want you to chime in on this too. Like, so both you guys were into, you guys were both selling drugs, right? You're in drugs and stuff like that. Just like a lot of guys who cheat on their wives. Why entrepreneurs do the same thing? They think that they're not like everybody. If everybody else doesn't market a certain way, their businesses fail. Like everybody assumes they're the exception to the rule. Drug dealers, cheating husbands, bad business owners alike, they all think they're the exception to the rule and that those things are never going to happen to them. Like, why is it, like, what is it that goes through mentally, like somebody's mind when they choose the wrong path? Like, you obviously didn't think you were going to get caught. Peter, you didn't think you were going to get caught, right?
No, I mean, I did. Like, I don't know if Carlos was the same, but when I was out there, I knew for a fact I was going to go to jail or prison. Like,
okay.
My own thing was I didn't do crazy stuff. Like, I wasn't doing, and I'm the first to admit, I wasn't out there with guns doing armed robberies and shit. Like, I was just a little thief,
Right.
So, but I don't know if, like I said, his is different, but I full on planned on going until I went to jail or prison. I wasn't not even thinking I was never going to get caught. I just thought that I would keep it going for a long time, and who the hell knows? I didn't like my life and I didn't care,
Oh, that's very, so it was almost like self-conflictive.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. What happens, but I don't care about my life. I want to continue. Like each day could be the day it all ends,
Yeah. Yeah. It's self-destructive behavior, and like Peter, like for me, like in the world of being a gang member and in that world, you're going to prison or you're going to end up dead, because you see everybody, that's what everybody ends up going or being, because the guys we looked up to what we call the OGs, they would be out there like, look, showing us pictures of them on the prison yard, or telling us like, look, when you go to prison, this is how you have to be. And going back to the reel from this morning that I posted, if you don't know your politics, you're going to die, meaning that I was taught about prison before I even went to prison. I was being prepped for prison before I even went to prison.
Wow.
I was being conditioned to go there. Like they're telling me, when you go in there, be prepared to get all the violence out the way when you first go in, because you want to develop this reputation for somebody not to mess with. So this was being instilled in me at a young age. So I knew I was going to either go to prison or end up dead. A lot of my friends were dying, when I was in the gang. And so I knew that was a possibility. I wasn't, although I was young, I wasn't that naive. I knew there was a chance I'd die, but I was so lost that I felt that if I would be okay with dying if people would remember me as a hardcore gangster, from my neighborhood.
Gotcha.
That's how much I valued the opinion of people in that neighborhood, that I would be okay with dying as long as I would die somebody of honor within that world. So
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's super, super interesting. And as we were sitting there talking about that, I'm sitting there wondering because, I speak to young entrepreneurs and business owners all the time. And, my big thing is it's not the greatest analogy in the world, but there's all these different structures throughout the world. Some of them are called buildings and some of them are called houses. And what makes a house is certain physical characteristics that make it different, and the way it's zoned and all that stuff, right? So I'm always asking them, like, if you look at all these businesses that you buy from, that you love, they all have certain things in common, no matter what business it is or what the industry. And if your business doesn't have those in common, it's probably not going to be very successful, right? So you guys were you're kind of doing the same thing, just maybe aimed in what you look back now as the wrong direction. You know what I'm saying?
It's just all who you choose for. You could relate it to now. It's who you choose to, like they say, your network is your net worth. It's all pretty much the same stuff, because it's like when you're living that lifestyle, you set your mind and aspirations and you shoot I want to be like the biggest, baddest gangster, that's who I was like, that's what I want to be when I went to prison,
Yeah.
And then you just switch it when you get out here, and now like you shoot for like Andy Frisellas and people like that, positive people that got a lot of stuff going on, it's like, but that's how much your friends can ruin it for you. You get involved with the wrong crowd and start dealing with gangs. It's a wrap, and that's literally where you headed, and you're going there.
Yeah.
So Carlos, it says here that it was a trip to solitary confinement that ultimately sparked the transformation in your life. And Peter was talking about this a lot, about how the transformation in the story was so magnificent. While you were in there, correct me if I'm wrong, you went on to finish high school, then college. You graduated with a 3.8 GPA in both psychology and liberal arts. Brother, I didn't even graduate college with that good of a GPA, right? So you got me outnumbered there already.
Yeah.
And I won't tell anybody what my GPA was in college. I was a great athlete, though. But you earned certificates in entrepreneurship, public speaking, and mentoring. Your last 4 years of incarceration, you spent organizing and teaching life-changing workshops within prison, and then you paroled in June 25th of 2021 after serving 17 years. So, all right. Well, first, tell me about the trip to solitary that sparked all this. Like that's some significant life change, and that's a massive decision, and it's a hard decision for most people.
Yeah, it is, but it's a testament to change is possible anywhere. With anybody. Me and Peter's situation, and I think that's what a lot of why, for me, why I do what I do now. As far as my personal mission, which is to inspire positive transformation in others every chance I get. And so behind that is because of, I know that change is possible. So when I see suffering, when I see somebody going through something in life, or they're complaining about it, or whatever it may be, I know that they could change and be who they want to be, or be, get in that position, because I did it. And leading into the question is, that I went from being that person, I went into prison, 13 years in prison. I was still violent. I was still running drugs in prison. I was a shot caller on the prison yards. I was doing all the things that a prisoner, you're supposed to go in there and rehabilitate yourself. And that was complete opposite of that, going in for my first 13th year. And I had been to solitary confinement before I made this transition on my 13th year, but it never affected me until that 13th year when I was in solitary confinement, because everything that I had went through in life, it just like, it was a mental thing. It hit me and it just all caught up with me. And I had a realization that of all the people that I heard in my life along the way, and the list is it was never ending, because I looked at the ripple effect, from my mother to my sister and my niece, all these people. I was like, I learned like, wow, the things that I did literally was destroying people's lives. And it hit me so hard that I got to the point of, wanting to commit suicide. So in solitary confinement, it was a different experience in solitary confinement this time. It was like, it was that do or die moment. It was like I had to choose, kill yourself and just end it all, or change your life around, and keep going. And I had to make that decision. The decision,
Gotcha.
Was initiated mainly by a man who came to my cell door. He was a pastor, and he came, of the prison, and a chaplain of the prison, excuse me. And he came around, and he stopped at my cell door. And I remember I was sitting there and I was really like, contemplating on how I was going to commit suicide. And I had wrote a note to my mother and everything already. And
wow,
he saw my pain. He knew something was wrong, and he called me over there to the door, and we talked, and he started asking me questions, and he challenged me to figure out what my purpose was, because I have a purpose here. We all do. And so he challenged me to do that. And that challenge changed me, because, I hadn't been challenged in so long, like by anybody. Because when you become a person in prison of a certain status, you really don't get challenged a lot. You kind of make all the decisions. So to have somebody challenge me to figure out my purposes and not give up, it's like, that was an ego thing at the time still. Okay, I had to do this. And so, but that like sent me on a relentless mission to figure out what this purpose was. And so I read the Bible front to back, and I read a book, like literally I was reading books in 2 days, and I read so many books, I lost count. Every book I could possibly get. And that reading and that studying and just taking the time to reflect on my life and writing changed my life. And when I got out of solitary confinement.
How long were you in there that time?
Changed. A year. I was in here for a year that time.
what?
And, that whole year.
Hold on.
Year.
I want to make sure everybody understands what the situation looks like. So, because Peter, you were in solitary for a long time too, right?
Yeah, we're one of a couple dudes out here that literally did time like that. Other people, even if they say they went to solitary, they're there for a week or 30 days or something like that.
Yeah. So it's like you see on TV, right, in the movies and stuff, right? You're alone.
Yeah.
Cali's, ours out here, it's not 23-hour day lockdown. Ours is 24-hour day lockdown. You get 3 showers a week. You get to go to a rec cage three days a week, and they walk you in shackles. Yeah, everything's brought to your door. That's it. And it's an hour. And it's horrible. It's a filthy rec cage, and there's nothing in it. It's like a 10 or 12 foot by 12 foot concrete box.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're sleeping on the floor and.
Yeah. So, and I wouldn't even go to the showers suck too. Usually I wouldn't even come out of my cell. I would just bird bath every day and just do my routine. Yeah. And I would have months where I wouldn't even step foot outside my cell.
Wow.
Yeah. 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 It's still true.
You just get in a routine, bro. And this is what you do though. It's not like you just, especially the one thing I feel like helped for sure me, and I'm sure Carlos is the same, is going in so young. You don't know how like the streets are, and you don't even know how good it can be out here, so like all we had to go off was like we were kids and we went to prison. We don't know how good it can be as an adult, so like I think it kind of helped me, because I went to prison. I barely hit puberty, and I was like, so after so many years of being in there, you think that's how the world works, and you don't feel like you feel like you're in prison. It's so hard to explain, because like I said, it's a different life, like your life is so dumbed down, and you feel like you have no chances. No, you can't do anything. It just sucks, so you just feel like trapped in there, and I don't know, it's just hard to explain, but.
So Carlos, you spent a year in.
Yeah. So, and wow. And it's crazy because it seems like so much to you, but literally
it sounded like a lot when you said
it's not, because if you think about it, I know people that were back there for 20, 30 years. That like that was just like, if you were back there 5 years, that was normal. So
Wow.
really, yeah, to society, it is a long time. And now for me, that's a long time. Like now who I am today, but when, like Peter said, when you're in that world, you're just in under a whole different mindset. Like you're not even like thinking like that. Like, oh, you just like, okay, a year. Oh, I'll be out in a year. Fine. It's not even a big deal. Like you just keep going, man. You have to. You can't show weakness. You can't like cry. You can't do none of that because you're constantly being under surveillance. Like somebody's always looking, hearing, listening. So it's like it's so much that you just have to like just cut off, like, and just keep going.
You shut your insides off.
Yeah.
Like every time I go, I wouldn't even. I had the mindset like, they're keeping me here forever. There's no way they're going to keep, because they just send you there. They would send me there like on override. You know, they override you to maximum security, so you're not fit to be on the yard. So like, I would have my mindset every time they'd come around, like they're not letting me out of here. You know, so when they did let me go back to the yard, I was like, holy shit, I'm actually going to the yard. You know, seriously, but it wouldn't last long either. Let me go to the yard for another 6 months or a year, and the same thing would happen. You're right back in lockdown again. Like, and it got to the point at the end where I liked lockdown because I'm like, it sucks moving, you know. I'm like, I wish I could just stay there, you know, and do the rest of my time in Max and like literally go home from there. You know, it would have been better for my mindset too.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite things that Nick Saban talks to his teams about is learning their limits, finding their breaking point. Right? You got to know that. You got to know where that is and what it is to know how to understand when you hit it and what to do and how to deal with it. Right? And I've got a note here. Peter, from your episode, how you were able to take that breaking point and transfer it into a drive for success once you got out.
For sure.
Right. So, like Carlos, you, obviously to take on a transformation like that. I have a quote here, that, my team loves it when I ask them all the time. I'm like, do you guys hate losing so much that you're willing to change, or do you hate change so much that you're willing to lose? You know, and like you got to that point where it's like, how do you decide I'm going to read a book? How do I go from, instead of playing cards or doing whatever else I do to pass time, I'm going to grow, I'm going to read a book? Because like so many people in the real world have the same opportunity right now.
Yeah.
Right now. Now you guys are taking it. Peter gave me an interesting statistic. It was like, it was over 80%. Peter, what was it of people that get out, go back in prison?
I think it's 83 or 87% or something like that, right, Carlos? Like within 5 years. And you know what's crazy? There's a fun fact. Once you pass your 5-year mark, it's like a 90, I don't remember the number, but it's like a 90 or 7-year mark. Once you pass that, it's like a 99.1% chance you won't go back, but it'll never be 100% for me. Is that crazy?
Yeah.
There's a real number you can actually Google, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
So
I just want to share one really cool thing too, that I'm me and Carlos about the same stuff. I'm all about like motivating and helping people, and like putting through that shitty stuff helped us so much in our life. And that's why Carlos motivates me so much. Cause like we talked about earlier, I'll get up in the morning and I'll see I get up early, but I'm at the gym in the morning. And by the time I'm at the gym, I already see Carlos tag me in another reel. Nick Hyder's already commented. I'm like, damn, I'm slipping on my game, you know? And it's like, but it's so hard, and that's why I say you always got to remember like the tough times, you know. And that's why like the biggest thing that you can do, and for anybody, like ours was the worst prison times, but you like remembering your tough times and just put it into perspective, you know, overcoming small things like that. Because dude, I'm guilty of it right now. Like I had a literally long talk with myself yesterday, like I used to do it myself. I don't know, Carlos probably did the same thing. Like you have full on conversation with yourself, you know, because you're trying to like wire your brain and figure out what you're doing, you know. And I got to this point now where like I used to live in solitary confinement. Like nobody would be around me, and I didn't care about time. I was it didn't matter to me. And now I'm at the point where like I have zero patience, you know, and I'm just like, so I'm having to talk myself through this like a little kid almost. But you know what, I'm like, dude, but it's all about perspective, you know. Like I forgot how much patience I can have if I choose to have the patience, you know what I'm saying? And I forgot how much stuff I can let go if I choose to. And it's like, so I had a long meeting in my head yesterday about that, dude. I'm like, I got to be better about that. And anybody else out here on the streets, it's the same exact stuff, you know, like, and it all ties back to gratitude though. You know what I'm saying? Like literally, if you're just full of gratitude, you can find gratitude in a shitty situation. You're going to be doing well throughout the day.
Yeah. And most of your most of the choices that you make in life are a reaction to something else, right? And most of your choices are not anticipating. It's usually a reaction to something, right? And we say that a lot. I tell my son's ball team all the time. I'll say winners, and they'll say anticipate, and then I'll say losers, and they'll say react, right? So, and a lot of, especially the bad choices, they're all reaction, right? The bad choices we make in life are almost all reaction. So,
Yeah.
So what again? Carlos, what was your turning point that like you finally just were sick and tired of being sick and tired, and it was like something's got to change, like because like your audience now is so much more difficult. Honestly, man, like if I was going to talk to a young entrepreneur, I'm always telling them, life's got to beat you up a certain level before you've got to have enough. That's why you got to spar before a fight, because you got to learn how to get hit, right? You learn how to take the punches, and to be the largest entrepreneurs on the planet, Warren Buffett, all remember, like, start all your businesses as early as you can in your 20s, because they're going to fail, and that's you got time to recover and learn from those things, right? So I would say you guys are as good to learn from anybody, because like people like me, Peter and I talked about it. Like, I grew up as the internet evolved, I evolved with it. You guys got released, and it was like the world had totally changed.
And it's so like, here, I'll give you a perfect example about Carlos. Like we were talking like a few months ago, and I was like, he was asking me about who does my video editing and stuff. And I was like, oh, I don't know how to do none of that stuff. Like Hannah does it, And then she shows him the app. And then like literally like 2 weeks later, then that's when I started getting tagged in these reels. And I remember I called him, I think I called and texted him. I was like, yo, who's editing this stuff for you? He's like, me. I'm like, how? He's like, I watch YouTube videos. So I'm like,
incredible.
Dude, I need to step my game up. But it's the same stuff. I tell myself I can't. And when you can literally do anything with the internet, and Carlos is choosing to put in the work right now, and I'm not, but like, that's why they say who you hang around with is so key in life. You know what I mean? Because when I see Carlos doing that and I'm at the gym, I think I got to get on my game and step it up a notch, and it's the same exact thing. So if your friends are pushing like that, and he could think the same thing about me, just doing my stupid gym pose where I'm flexing or something like that, because I'm still there at the gym every day, like I'm supposed to be, so
that's right.
Anything you can.
Dude.
Yeah, definitely, awesome. Man. Yeah.
Well, hold on a minute. You're making those videos. You're editing all those videos. So I got my man Connor Adams in the studio with me off camera, who's unbelievable, dude. He's doing well, is he not? Is that not incredible?
Connor.
So he learned the internet and how to edit in less than a year. Like
2 months, bro.
Oh my gosh. That's incredible. Yeah. So just know any questions you got, we got your back, brother. So if you have any questions, you let us know. And I'll make sure you have Connor's contact information as well.
But that's what it's about too. It's just, and that's why I always tell people to get out there, bro. It's all about getting connections and talking to people. And like, I have a guy that's one thing. I almost kind of do the prison thing out here, which is what I'm literally, I have a deal with myself to be better at it. But like in prison, I was the shot caller. So I always delegated everybody to do everything. So I still don't know how to make food. I know how to still to this day, Carlos, I make prison soups, and that's it. Because I make prison soups. I had youngsters cooking for me. So I still make them, and it's all about delegating. So I get, if not, at least if you don't want to learn it yourself, get a hookup on a guy that does it himself. Like every hookup I've had for, it's shout out to Matt Lind and Brian Palmer out there too, that they do some amazing stuff. They do stuff with the internet and building apps and stuff. So I hooked up with them, and they do Zooms and just try to help each other out. But because when you get in a good circle and you all want to see each other win, and you all want to win together and help each other, then you'll take out an hour of your day to give a Zoom call to a guy that's halfway across country that you've never even met, just because you know a guy well enough and he co-signed to help him out.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So Carlos, what was your breaking point that led you to where we are today? Because that's what I want to get into next. Because I got a lot of great questions and topics that we want to talk to you about. I want to hear you guys go back and forth. Because now you're the founder and CEO of How to Battle, coaching and conquering self-doubt and building confidence, which I love it. Connor, our titles are all right there. It's going to be an easy one to work with right there. It's fantastic. So what was your breaking point?
Yeah, the breaking point for me was sitting in solitary confinement, 13 years into prison, and reflecting on my life, realizing all the people that I've hurt along the way. I was in solitary confinement for hurting people, and, I was in solitary confinement for running drugs into the prison at this time. And I had been in solitary confinement before, but this time was different because once I went to solitary confinement, a lot of people that were involved in this drug ring got took down, and a lot of people who entrusted in me, and it kind of like going back to what you said about being an entrepreneur, like when you become an entrepreneur and you hire people and you have staff and all that, they trust you. They trust you that you're going to lead them to success, that you're going to make sure that they're okay, take care of them, be there to give them that coaching and mentoring so that they could be successful. And for me, I failed, and I was sitting in solitary confinement. Everybody involved got hurt, and people went to jail. People, one of the young ladies who was involved, she lost her kid. Oh, man. It just was it was so much. And then I get a letter from one of my young friends who was 15 years old, and he just got sentenced to 110 years to life, and he was on his way to prison, and he committed a murder when he was 15, and he admired me and looked up to me. And I knew I directly played a role in that, because as far as him going down that path, because in the letter he wrote, I'm going to be okay going to prison because I learned so much from you. I'll remember everything you taught me.
Jeez.
And to know that a kid, and I was still young at the time, but he was a teenager and he was telling me this. It was like I had to, what are you doing? You have this gift, the ability to be a leader, and you're just using it to hurt people. And to me, at the point I couldn't deal with it, so I just wanted to kill myself just to end it.
Right.
Take the easy way out, and it's like that changed me. And talking to the chaplain and him challenging me, all that right there changed me. So that was that breaking point. And I just, like I said, for the next, I think it was like 8 months at that point. Next 8 months in solitary confinement, I was just reading, studying, reflecting on my life, praying, and that changed me within that time frame. And it's.
Were you tripping on hitting the yard too, or were you just thinking, well, it's whatever happens, it's meant to be?
Yeah, I knew it was coming, that I was about to go back to the yard. I know people had, because when you're in solitary confinement, it's like a prison within a prison. And it's crazy because prison is bad enough as it is, but just imagine prison times 10. That's solitary confinement. So knowing that I'm about to go back to the regular prison yard, and my mindset was, look, I'm taking back control of my life. I'm no longer going to be this gang member. I'm about to go out here and I'm just going to be myself, so that if my mother buries me, then at least she'll bury me as Carlos. And with that mentality, I knew I probably would potentially get killed out there. But I was okay with that, because I knew now I could die who I really am, and not nobody else involved in that lifestyle. So, I went back out there, and it was crazy because what happened wasn't what I expected to happen, which was I was expecting to, potentially get killed for, changing my life around, or go through so much, that it would just become too much to deal with. But no, actually, I went out there, and I believe it's, because of God, and, and then my firm conviction and my belief.
Amen.
Stepping out there, and letting people know, look, I'm no longer going to live a life of destruction. I'm not, but then I'm also not running from it. I'm just letting you guys know that there's another way, that we can live our lives a better way, and do things right and help our families. Every one of us in prison has somebody out there that loves us. You got a mother, you might have a brother, you might have a sister, you might have a girlfriend, a wife. Think about them for a second, and the impact that you're having on them by staying in here. And as a man, I don't care how hard you are, you're going to respect the people that love you while you're in prison and that are there for you. You're ultimately, that's who's most important. So when they were able to see me make that change and go on that path, it actually motivated a lot of them to go on that path with me and also start changing. And it wasn't like, okay, we're done. No, it was more like, hey man, look, come to this group I got tonight. We got this group, 30 men coming in there. We're just talking, man. Let's just come in. So we get in a circle, and everybody just starts sharing their stories. And men that we're hardcore in prison. We just have breakdown moments because so much pain was in there, but we all supported each other and were like, look, this is normal. We're okay. And we navigated through that, and people started to change, And so for me, that was just reinforcing my belief that I had a purpose now. And my purpose was to inspire others, and help them get on that positive path.
That's so powerful, man. That's so powerful.
What I kept doing. Yeah.
Leadership is a lot of times described as some like if you're called a leader, it means you're like a person of authority, a person that's done great things. But like you just said, leaders come in all shapes and sizes. Everybody's a leader. If you are eating an ice cream cone and somebody says, that looks good, where'd you get it? And you tell them you led them to get an ice cream cone from that place, right? You were a leader in that moment. And you just said it, you had led somebody down a path that wasn't a great path. So, leaders it's our choices on who we do get to choose that we learn from and that we follow, right? But that's really powerful, man, in the form of that you really started to understand leadership, and now you're leading in the most dire circumstances, in the most dangerous circumstances. You're leading people.
Don't even know how dangerous that is to do what he did.
I don't.
You don't even fathom how dangerous that is to do what he did.
When that was what you said about how unbelievable that was, and like that's real juice.
Yeah.
Like that's the real juice.
It's a real juice when like there's one person that's been in those situations as him, and I'm like, holy shit, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's how real it is. Like I didn't have the balls to do it, but I don't know but I didn't think there was an answer out, like seriously. That's why like I thought like when I fumbled, I always say when I fumbled out of the gates, like I didn't, I've been open about this. I thought like the epitome of what I could do with my life was construction, making minimum wage, maybe getting raises though or something, and probably have a boring ass sober life, but at least I'm literally not slammed in a prison cell and I can like control with what I want to do on a daily basis. Like I seriously thought that was all I could do with my life. And then that's why I said, once I started experiencing more and like all this stuff and I started making money and I caught some traction in life, I was like, holy shit, like this is, like I didn't know it was possible. So now like that, and that's why I quit my job. Cause now I'm like, dude, I want to go back to prison and tell these dudes what we can do now, because
there you go.
And that's why it's so huge. I don't know if I was here last time, but did I tell you when on my podcast, my possible being on the tablets in the prisons across the country?
You said it was being worked on. Yeah. And
so this is the first month that it's in there. So now like people can listen to a guy like me that sat in there, and then it's like all like, cause you got all the tough guys in prison, and then even all the fake tough guys that like just look up to tough guys. And now they can see like a dude that's been there, done that. And I'm like, there's nothing to that whatsoever. And it's not cool. And all it does is makes you more institutionalized when you get out on the streets. It just makes it nothing but harder. But even just like the mindset, now they can have different thoughts in their head throughout the day, So that's my goal with my podcast. And even when they listen to it, I want them to listen to that. And the rest of the time, even if they're on a 4-yard or max or something like that, to like be like, holy shit, now instead of thinking of the bad negative thoughts, even if they replace a couple thoughts a day with it, they can start transitioning to like the better life, and like a life that you don't think you can have. Now you can have it. It'll make you hold on a little bit longer in there, and maybe make you a little bit stronger in there to make the right decision and do what Carlos did, because I didn't have the balls to do that.
It's incredible. So Carlos, you did understand the dangers of that when you were doing it, right?
Yeah, I understood completely. I knew that lifestyle so well. I had already been in there 13 years. Yeah. So I knew I had mastered the lifestyle of prison in every aspect. So I knew exactly what could have potentially came. But like, I think when you're so like, you're just so locked in on something, you don't care what people think. We don't even really care about what possibly can go wrong. You just have this desire to go for it. And I kind of take that out here too. Like I have a lot of, I think everybody, they say 85% of people suffer from self-doubt in their life. And I know I'm definitely a part of that now that I'm out, because I'm in a whole new world. So I always doubt myself, but I know how to overcome that doubt. And it just goes because of the passion you have for something, you know what I mean? Like, and then also going back to the leadership thing, Nick, when you mentioned that, like leaders inspire, leaders are just followers too.
That's right.
Pursuing a mission. You know what I mean? Like they're just the ones, they're just ahead of everybody else, showing them how to get there. But that's what a real leader is.
All of Jesus's disciples were followers first.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
Yes, sir. And so entrepreneurs like now, just that's something to remember as an entrepreneur. inspire people around you, inspire people to, come with you along on the mission, to buy into the mission. And that's how you really lead anywhere. I mean, it could be in business, it could be in the prison world, whatever. Those are real leaders. Right. So, yeah.
So talk to me about your business, How to Battle. Like, tell me about it, and why did you start it?
Yeah, I'm just crazy. I was smiling because it's like, it started just with a vision, and now to hear you actually say it, kind of like, wow, like, dang, it's really evolved so far. And it's not even really evolved to where, obviously, where I want it to be, because I think as an entrepreneur, you always want more. But How to Battle came because when I first got out of prison, like Peter mentioned, like literally my whole life was how to do something. So I was on YouTube and I was all over, like, how to build a website, how to use Instagram, how everything was how to. And so I felt like how to became like a friend to me. You know what I mean? Like I could always go look for, you know what I mean? So,
well, that's, the greatest in finance and money. They say, instead of saying that you can't afford something, they always say, how can I afford it? That's the most, like, that's such a fundamental, massive fundamental thing that you did that pointed you in the right direction that most people just don't do.
Yeah. And so the how to, and then battle, battle through life, it's coaching for conquering self-doubt and building confidence. So, like the biggest thing for me in my transition and change was to be able to conquer the self-doubt that I was feeling and to gain the confidence to become the new person that I had became when I came out of solitary confinement. It was me, the inner enemy, the worst enemy that any of us will ever face. That's the one we battle with the most. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So for me, when I knew the impact that I was able to have on people, and it stemmed from me overcoming self-doubt within me and conquering, and having that confidence, that was the ultimate game changer. So now I want to share that with others, and I want to help people overcome their self-doubt and become confident, because like I say, if humanity is more confident, humanity is more competent. You know what I mean? Like we will be able to operate on such a higher level, like reach that human potential. Every one of us, if we all had more confidence and were able to conquer the self-doubt, because self-doubt is the difference between that person starting that company. They could potentially save the world. That's right. You starting your podcast, or Peter starting his podcast and all his things that he has going on. Self-doubt could be the difference between yes or no. So if you have the ability to conquer that, you can do that. Mm-hmm. That changes everything around you. It changes everybody, changes society. So that's the business. And so I'm coaching. I do one-on-one coaching, group coaching, and I'm about to take the step next to doing digital products, start doing courses. So that's what I'm doing now, is creating a course, which I'm going to launch my first one in 17 days. And
my man,
keep building from there, man. Yeah,
that's right. That's awesome. And Peter, you had just mentioned too that your app, for what you're doing in the prisons, giving back. That's happening now. That's live now, right? And then you've got your what's the other one that's coming out June 1st?
My app, so mine's a sobriety app that'll be launched June 1st. Okay. Same as my clothing company, the SOBR, Sober Life, but removing the E, so SOBR Life. That's what the app's called too.
Excellent. That's June 1.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I'm telling you, I get people ask me all the time, and I always say, like, no offense, and they ask me, like, all right, I'm going to check out your story and then give me one other one to listen to. I'm like, I tell them, I say the same thing every time. I'm like, I've got some big names on my podcast. So this is the one with Carlos Vasquez. That's my favorite episode.
My man. So your podcast, Roll Call with Chappie, is phenomenal. I freaking love it. That's one of my son and I's go to when we work out. So I love it.
That's what started me on it. I would listen to Andy Frisella's when I was doing cardio. That's what started me on it. I was like, I want to do this.
That's right, Carlos. You need one as well, brother.
I know, right?
Oh, he'll probably start tagging us in the podcast tomorrow.
I love it. Based on how fast he's done everything else, he'll probably have his first episode shot today.
It's been 11 months, like literally, and he's like editing. But dude, I can't even fathom what he's doing already. You know what I mean?
But it takes a lot of people years to launch a business, and that's when they've been groomed to do so through the education system and everything else, right? And
you had to literally learn everything, like just reading articles and watching videos.
So
that's another thing too. When you're in our situation, I mean, there's not too many people that like have walked these waters before, so you're kind of in uncharted territory. So like, I mean, you could get advice from people like you guys are successful people, but they don't know the other struggles that we got to go through. You know.
That's right.
It shows what's possible. If me and Carlos can get here and do what we're doing, then why couldn't anybody else do whatever they want if they want it bad enough?
That's right. Yeah. That's right. So, Carlos, is what you're doing? Your company's not just for it's for everybody. It's not just for former prisoners, right? Or right? So it's for everybody.
Yeah, it's for everybody. Definitely. It started, in prison, like as far as the dream and the passion for it. But no, it's for everybody because I feel like it's necessary, and I want to, help everybody out here, because one thing I learned along the way since I've been out is, especially from young adults, a lot of them struggle with self-doubt. A lot of them don't have confidence in themselves on where they want to go in life. A lot of them are going through life doing what other people want them to do, living other people's lives and not their own. So I know definitely they'll find value in that.
So I'm looking up right now. It says right here that since the 1970s, the incarceration rate has steeply increased, leading to 0.7% of the U.S. population, or 698 out of every 100,000 people being behind bars, right? So the reason I did that is because you mentioned both physical and mental imprisonment. And the physical one is the one where a judge says you go live there, right? That's where you're going to be for this amount of time, for whatever it might be. But like what you're alluding to, which I agree with incredibly, like a lot, because I've been there too, is how, like, I wonder what percentage of the population is mentally incarcerated.
Mental prison. Mm-hmm. I would say 50% right now, almost.
It's a lot, right? Especially right now after post pandemic and everything else,
That's why I think it's 50% probably.
Yeah.
And you can be in the world and feel like you're more in prison than me and Carlos were at certain times. You know what I'm saying? It's literally that's how much power your mind has and everything that goes on in your life day to day. And that's always my biggest message. It's all in your mind. Because I mean that's why you have these filthy rich people that commit suicide. Like they feel like they're trapped in prison.
Wow. That's I mean, if you think about it too, like you guys, when you're in solitary, you had two choices, and that's get control of your thoughts or don't. And
that's literally, that's why I said, and that's why it's so funny. Me and Carlos always talk about that. Like you literally talk to yourself, and it's just like, I can answer half of Carlos's questions about prison without even asking. Like usually that's what I do when I ask him. Like, you're probably like this, but let me just make sure.
Yeah, exactly, man. Everything it starts with the mind. Everything. It doesn't matter how much success you have, as far as on a materialistic level, even like family, we see families all the time who have a great family and something's going on and just crazy stuff happens where, like I just saw in the news the other day, 3 kids were dead, and in a household. Yeah. And everybody was like, well, this was a normal family and we don't know what's going on. Like everything starts with the mind. So mental prison is like just not having no control over your thoughts, not having control. And addicts are in mental prison, to be for the drug, they're a slave to the drug, a
lot of people that way about money.
Yeah. Money, slave to the money. And it's like true happiness true success is happiness.
Bam.
I mean, if you're happy, it doesn't matter like, how much money you have or none of that. That's what real success is. And if you're really happy, that means you're mentally healthy. Yeah. So
do you think most people know where their happiness lies? What makes them truly happy, do you think?
No, I don't think people do, because a lot of people live, they don't live the life that they want to live. Like people are maybe in a marriage that they're not happy with, but they just stay in that marriage because they care about what other people around them think.
Right.
They're afraid to get out of that. because they don't want to be perceived as something, or, people who are like even people who have a regular 9 to 5, and that's not what they really want to do. And for some, I think that's fine. That's what you want to do. But a lot of people, they don't really want to do that. They don't want to clock in, clock out. They want the freedom to live their life how they want to live it, and maybe even have a dream to pursue their own business or whatever it may be. But they lack the confidence to do that. So then they become mentally in prison too, because they're unhappy. They're not motivated every day to get out of bed and go do what they do. And if you can get up every day and be happy about going to do what you do, then you're on the right path. You know what I mean? I know you guys are definitely happy getting out of bed every day, doing what you're doing, because you're impacting people's lives in a positive way. You're doing like work that's beyond just you. Yeah. That's what it's about, is like, we're here to, I believe, to be happy and to help others, and if you do that authentically, and everything else comes. Yeah. Good people, money, that's what life's all about. So,
man, like, outside of my wife and I's relationship with God, we were talking about it in the walk this morning. It's, we have a daughter that just turned 1, so we're going through all that. A kid that's about to be a teenager. We've launched a couple new projects this year. A lot of things. It feels like a lot of things in startup and we're trenching new life paths all over the place, right? And we were talking this morning about how, outside of our relationship with God, that our happiness with each other is the foundation of all of it. Because without that, the family life crumbles. She's involved in all of our businesses, and how, we haven't been doing good enough of a job of maintaining, of servicing the foundation of all that, the happiness that we have together. We haven't been taking enough time to spend together and things like that. And we're able to talk about it and reflect on it. Everybody has that foundation of something that they've built something on, right?
Yeah. I agree with that. And the foundation that you build your life upon, it has to be solid, and there ain't nothing more solid than having the faith in God, because if you have a foundation that's not solid and you reach to the skies, but you don't have the relationship with God, if you're not strong in that, in spirituality, when it comes to that, anything that comes your way is going to knock your building down, because as you rise, things are going to come and they're going to hit you from all directions. Yes. Anybody, I know a guy who's super successful, and like, he's like, man, like, just going through so much depression in his life right now, but like, he even say, like, man, because I'm not right with God. I'm not right, spiritually. And that's right. And so, it kind of reinforces everything when you know, like, okay, it's bigger than me. I'm out here doing God's work. I'm the vessel, and God is gifting me with all this stuff to do His work. Yeah. And so let me go through life and do it right, and be have integrity and be honest, and give respect to others, and all that matters. When you're growing.
The success of our family, the success of all of our projects and businesses. Yeah. Ultimately, it's got to pass through the happiness, the foundation that is my wife and I's relationship, because we make so many decisions together. You got to be in the right headspace to do so. And again, if you're not enjoying it, you're not enjoying it, and that's not good, right? And it's hard you can't be happy if you're doing something you don't enjoy. It's hard to do that. So, all right, I want to do this. So I've been scratching the surface all over the place, right? But you guys have a history, and this is an incredibly, it's a big gift to have both you guys on there. And Peter, you've already interviewed him multiple times. You know him. Like, what are some things? Like, I want to turn over the host microphone to you for a second, and I want to hear from you, man. Like, what are some things? Like, this guy's freaking incredible. Both you guys are incredible men, and what you're doing, like 20 years from now, I can't wait to see the difference you've made in this world.
I can't wait to see what he does in the next year or two.
Well, dude, take it over for a minute. Like, what are we missing here? What do these guys need to know?
I think people are just, I mean, it's the biggest thing, which is what I look up to him on the most about is like, it's just not making excuses, like seriously. And that's why why I say he makes me look bad now. Cause like, I still make a lot of excuses, you know, Handel says it all the time. Like I still like act like I'm like this shot caller that can't do this and that, you know? And then when I see Carlos doing like it literally motivates me. And I don't know where he got that, but you know, it's crazy. I think it's because he started preparing himself for the streets before I did, you know, because I mean, I had no preparation for it though, you know, and like, it's just like what he does now is it's just incredible. I can't even fathom it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It just doesn't, he's just like an anomaly, dude, you know, like it's insane the person he is. And there's so much that you can learn from him. And I think, I mean, clearly he would help people from prison, but I think people that are on the streets could learn just as much, if not even more from him. You know what I mean?
Both of you guys should be speaking in front of massive crowds, telling these stories about this stuff. Both of you should, and you will probably before it's all said and done, right?
That's the goal for next year.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what I do. I mean, I don't know, like we talked about now, I don't know if Carlos like, but that's what I do. Like I make like crazy goals, you know, and dude, before I told you guys before I was here, I was like house shopping for like huge cribs in Paradise Valley and like exotic cars. And like, that's my goal next year, you know? And it's like, but that doesn't come unless I help 1 million people, you know what I'm saying? So like, that's why I've always shared about, you know, it's like, once I start helping like the millions of people, then my bank account will have that and it'll show that I'm helping millions of people. So like the richer I am means the more lives that I've impacted. You know what I'm saying?
Boom. Income is the outcome, not the objective. That's right.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I walked away from crazy money that like not millionaire status, but if you're not millionaire status, it's like money I never dreamed of making. And I walked away from it because I mean, God literally came over me seriously. Like it was it's crazy now thinking back because it was so abrupt when I left, you know what I mean? I was literally gonna make 350 grand last year, just cruising, having the best year of my life. And I just was like, dude, I can't do this anymore. You know what I mean? I want to go talk to people from prison and stuff. I can't do this. And like I said, I've shared, you know, I had the toys, the cars and stuff and just wanted to leave. But I was like, I always made excuses why I couldn't, you know, and then I saw enough people making money on Instagram and doing this and that. And I was like, you just got to bet on yourself and stop making excuses. So finally I was like, I'm all right. I'm taking a leap of faith and I'm going to go figure this stuff out. You know what I mean? If he can do it, I can do it. And that's the mindset you got to have. And I feel like Carlos is probably the best with that, you know, like, I even asked him that because I was trying to learn from when he was out here at my house. And I was just like, all right, so tell me your routine. Because I figured he still had a full-on prison routine. I can't believe he does. Seriously, tell him your routine, bro. If you want to show how militant people are and like when you're doing like real hard time in prison, go just do your little hours, like what you do every day.
Yeah, well one thing I do recommend is everybody do get a routine. If you're trying to be successful in life, get a routine and get it fast.
Yeah.
You know, and that goes for everybody. So that's one thing that helped me get through prison was structure. So because you know, I was afraid of idle time. Even though you're in prison, you're doing time. I was afraid of idle time. So every waking hour, you know, I structured time, something to do within that time to keep me from my mind from wandering on things, and that helped me get through it. So out here, you know, now I do that to help me achieve my goals and to reach success. So basically I wake up at 4 a.m. First thing I do is I pray and I thank God for allowing me to be here. You know, I go and I meditate. And then after I meditate, I read, you know, and I get the reading out the way early because once later on, everybody's up and there's all stuff going on, I just won't be able to do it. And then after I read and I'm in that right mindset, I write, and it may be me writing an idea down that I want to do on an Instagram post or the idea for another business venture that I want to pursue, or just an idea that I could do throughout the day to help somebody. But I write for at least 10 minutes. And then I go run, you know, I live right across the street from the beach. So I go run 2 miles every day, and I run by the beach. And right before I go up the stairs from the beach up to where I live, I look and I look into the sky and I just breathe fresh air, and I appreciate that. And for me, then I go back home and I'm get ready to go about my day. And, you know, all throughout the day, I'm busy. I'm always doing something, but I always make buffer time because I feel that you need to have buffer time throughout your day. If you're working hard, like, you know, a lot of people do, working on big goals, have that buffer time to synthesize information, synthesize things that are going on around you.
To decompress. Yeah.
Decompress. Exactly. Choices you have to make, or whatever, respond to an important email or text or make a call or something like that. And then, about, I'm going to say about like 4 or 5 o'clock, I hit the gym, and that's when I, work out and I get in my zone, and I listen to podcasts and, and all that stuff to get that in. But all throughout the day, I'm like also listening, like as I'm driving, I'm listening to podcasts and just people speaking. Like I like to listen to a lot of CEOs speak. Like I find like the CEOs of today's age are like my teachers now. Like I may not
Absolutely.
be able to, you know what I mean? Like just hearing them, like if people like just take some time to listen to a CEO be interviewed by somebody, and you're going to learn so much from that. Like you're gonna be like, wow. And so I do that. And then, I'm in a program right now called Defy Ventures, which is an entrepreneurial accelerator program. So matter of fact, tonight I have a pitch that I'm going to be giving, and this is an important night for us. So, and that's, every day I got to focus on that, because you're literally like learning today's age entrepreneurship. And so I'm doing that because I have a certificate in entrepreneurship already, but I'm doing that because I believe you have to be a constant learner. You have to have a thirst for learning, and you can never stop learning, because if you stop learning, you're going to get left behind.
That's right.
In this world, it's going so fast. You'll get left behind quick. So I want to always be up to date and on point. So I do that at night. And then, and then I just end and that's pretty much my day right there.
See if I can give you something. So you're a baseball guy, right? So you have had to have heard the name Wally Pipp before in the game of baseball, right? So Wally Pipp played first base for the New York Yankees and took a day off. And a gentleman named Lou Gehrig, who was a rookie, came in and played for Wally Pipp on his day off. Lou Gehrig set the record for most consecutive games played in a row. Wally Pipp lost his job because he took a day off, right? And it's the same way with entrepreneurship and learning and everything. You're so spot on with that. Yeah. All right, I got a question for you. Your top 5 books right now that you would recommend for our listeners, what are they?
Top 5 books right now. I just finished a book called The Untethered Soul.
Okay.
Which is that was an amazing book, because it talks about like being able to listen to your mind, like being able to have control of your mind. Like we went back to the mental prison thing.
Yep.
It kind of like speaks on that. Very powerful book. Another book I would say is The Power of Now.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, I've read that one.
Yeah, Eckhart Tolle. Yeah, great book. And then the follow-up to that, which is The New Earth. Those 2 books, man, like just if you're into that type of stuff, it's just so powerful. It's literally like life-changing for some people. And for me, it's always, I read books like that because it kind of like reminds me of, it keeps me balanced and like reminds me where I need to be, as far as like always never forgetting to, to meditate and take time to, appreciate life and to be able to keep control of my thoughts as I grow, because you can easily be sidetracked by so many temptations and things in life. So that keeps me balanced. And then another one is Conscious Business, which is a great book.
I like it.
Conscious Business is a great book by I believe Fred Kaufman, I think. And he's like the author of that is like a consultant, where he was a consultant for LinkedIn. And he's very like, profound in his thinking, and he incorporates so much like purpose within like having a business, what I mean? How the importance of both is. And then let me think of another book that what's crazy. There's a book that comes to mind that I haven't read in a while, but it always sticks in my mind, and it's called Gates of Fire, I believe. It's Gates of Fire. Yeah, I don't know if you guys heard of this book.
I have.
You heard of that book? Yeah. It just, to me, it's about, the Spartans and them being able to battle through it's the Battle of Temperley, I believe. And they were able to hold the fort down right there against all these warriors coming in. They were greatly outnumbered, but their team was able to stay strong and hold the fort down for so long and be able to battle through that. And so it's just a battle, like to have that warrior mindset, to be able to overcome literally impossible odds, that resilience, and to work together as a team. It's such a powerful book when you look at it from that perspective.
That's right.
So those are all, I mean, there's so many more, this goes on, but those are definitely good books.
So check this out. I just literally had these in the studio because people are always asking me what I'm reading, right? So one of my favorites is The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. However, that's an audiobook, but I've got the hard copies. Check these out. Peter knows some of these. So I think everybody should read Rich Dad, Poor Dad because it talks a lot about financial literacy. If you're going to be a business owner or successful in life, you got to know how to manage your money. If you want money, you got to know what to do with it and speak the language, right?
Yeah.
This was a former a guy that served a lot of time in our armed forces. Is a buddy of mine, Cameron Harmon, Caveman to Philosopher. It's really good. It's an easy, short little read too, man. It's really good. I like it. This cat right here, he's scheduled to come on here in just a few weeks. He's one of the owners of the Major League Soccer team here. Marcus Whitney's Create and Orchestrate. That's a phenomenal one. You ought to check that one out. It's on Amazon. Love it. The Power of Now is very similar to, this is a good one too, by Mel Robbins, called The 5-Second Rule.
Yeah.
Love that book too. That's phenomenal. And then Peter will know this one. Should they read this one, Peter? Bradley's The Hard Way, lessons I've learned the hard way. It's phenomenal. I just happened to have those with me today in the studio when we were talking about those, which is pretty cool. But those are
That'll make Brad happy.
It definitely will. That's right. So we'll hit him up for the shout out. Maybe he'll send us some more cool stuff. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, his book is no joke. That's the real deal. Yeah.
It sure is. All right. So, but I want to hear from both of you guys on this right here. So obviously, you guys talked about the power of belief and hope, mental and physical imprisonment, the power of educating yourself. Both of you guys have the warrior's mindset, and you've used that mindset to go out. I mean, every day in life is a battle. It is a battle. Right? Yep. It's a battle to do the right thing. It's a battle to be good. There's good and evil on both in this world, and the evil is always trying to drag you down. So if you're fighting for the good, you're battling against the evil every single day, right? So talk to me about the warrior's mindset, what that means to both you guys, and then and obviously how to battle. Like you were so right, Peter. Carlos needs a freaking camera crew following him around all day long, and that's when he's going to blow up, is the moment that he's got a camera guy following him around everywhere.
Man. Yeah. Do you want to go first, Peter, on that?
No, I just want to hear you, bro. I feel like I've talked way too much for being on a podcast that you're on.
Yeah. Well, man, the warrior's mindset. It's crazy because like I didn't really even know what the warrior mindset was until probably since I've been out of prison, so months ago. But I've always had that, and I never knew that I had that. And I've known so many people that have that, and they don't even know that they have that. But the warrior's mindset is just the ability to never give up. Like no matter what you're going through, no matter what the situation is, you'll never give up. And then when you're on a mission, you're going to complete the mission. Whatever's in your way, you're going to get through it. You're going to push through that you have the resilience to deal with all the adversity that's coming your way, because it's going to come. You know, so in prison, there's so much coming against you. There's so many things that you got to fight through mentally, physically. I mean, I've been stabbed in prison. I had to sew it up while I was in the cell with needle and thread.
Wow.
Like, you know what I'm saying? You know, and that's just the physicalness but the mental too, like willing to just kill myself because I didn't want to live no longer. I felt like I didn't have a purpose, but without that warrior mindset, it's hard to get through that when you're that embedded in it. You know, it's like, you have to have the will to keep going. And so that's what the warrior mindset is. And it's like a lot of the people that we listen to and that we read and that we read their books. Yeah. And you know, YouTube, man, it's like, it's in us, you know, and I believe it's kind of like intertwined in our DNA because, I mean, first of all, like just the fact that we're here is a miracle within itself.
Amen.
I believe it's 400 trillion to 1, the odds of us being here.
Yes.
And then and because you look at it, like all of our ancestors and who the people that came before us were warriors, you know, they survived so much.
Yes.
And so it's embedded in us. And so it's just sometimes we don't know how to release that. And if everybody was able to unleash that warrior mindset when they're going through something, even entrepreneurs who are going through struggles, or whether it's somebody dealing with addiction, or somebody dealing with depression, or confidence issues, if you can unlock that,
Right.
you can literally be unstoppable. You become superhuman, you reach your full potential. So that's why I preach that warrior mindset. I know the power behind that.
I love it. I love it. And then, obviously taking that mindset to battle every single day. How to battle. So talk to me about your coaching for conquering self-doubt and building confidence. So like everything you just said, none of that's physical.
What, the warrior mindset?
Yeah, the warrior mindset is, again, it's nothing that has to do with your physical body. It's all the subconscious. It's all the thoughts and all those things that go into your mind. And most people don't understand how much, if you put poison in your body, if you consume it through your mouth, it goes in your stomach, and it usually causes a lot of harm if you live through it and whatever. But people don't even think, because I guess there's no medical side effect to putting poison in their minds. And it happens each and every single day, right? So you're helping to counter that.
Yeah, because everything starts with the mind. It's like and then it turns into physical, because the things, once something enters your mind, you react to it physically. So, for instance, like the will to go work out. You know what I mean? Like some days when we don't want to go work out, or like Peter, I know there's days that you don't want to go work out sometimes, even though you're obsessed with it, which is great. But that's the mindset. You know what I mean? Like he knows in his mind, I got to go work out. And not only that, it probably helps him, it's therapeutic, because I know for me it is, like, that's my thing. Like, so it's the mindset to when I say to myself, like, you know what, I need to do this. You know what I'm saying? All right, then I go do it physically. So just like, eating healthy and not consuming drugs. It's your mind first. It's able to be in control. So when you have that warrior mindset, you're in control of your mind, you're in control of your thoughts. And then that in turn, it affects the physical stuff as well. So yeah, when I'm, coaching people, when I'm speaking to people, and I was just speaking to, I was speaking to a group of, seniors like about a week ago, and so many of them, like, they're all seniors going off into college, all from underserved communities, but they already know what they want to do in life.
Yep.
And these are like kids, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. But
yeah, and you got to start filming those.
I know
They're fantastic.
Yeah, like Absolutely. You said, I need somebody to follow me around all day.
That's right.
Yeah, and it's so amazing. But the questions they asked, one of the questions that I got a lot from these kids was, how do you deal with things when they don't go right? And these are, because they know what's ahead of them.
Right.
And so that's when I incorporate the mindset thing, to them, and I explain it to them. And so, I think that it's just such a powerful thing, for phenomenal. Everybody could benefit from it. Yeah. You
were right, Peter.
Oh, sure.
You were right. All right, so Carlos.
I'm not really a kind of the told you so kind of guy, but this I'll do this one.
Well, you did phenomenal. So, I don't know, man. I love first. So real quick, I was just sitting here browsing. I'm looking at. I love the clothing line, Peter, on your website. Yeah. There's about to be a big shipment coming.
New stuff too coming soon. I'm redoing some extra clothing stuff, so I'm gonna add some crazy stuff going on with the new drop of the app next month.
I love it. Well, just if they don't want to wait for the drop of the app on June 1st, they can get it from petermeyerhoff.com and /collections. I'm looking at it right now, and there's about to be a pretty good sized shipment coming to Nashville. That's right, because I'm gonna need it. My son needs some too, so that's awesome. Yeah. So Carlos, folks that want to work with you, how do they? I know you said you got your online course. You're gonna launch here real soon. How do they work with you?
Well, I have a website that I built myself, put together myself.
Of course he did.
Yeah. I got a website. Yeah, I have a website. It's called it's howtobattle.com.
Awesome.
And you could link on it from my Instagram. I have it on there. And that's how they can get in contact with me. They can reach me directly there through email. It kind of gives an overlay of what I do. And then it has a timer on when my course is coming out. follow me on there. And then also, I have, so since I've been out, I wrote 2 short films, which are currently under production.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So one of them is called Note to Self, and the other one is called Rip in Time. And I wrote them for the guys and girls in prison all over. And so once they're released, I'll put them on there so that people can watch them. They're short films, but one of them ties into relationships after prison, how that's a struggle. And a lot of people in prison don't know that the person that you married while in there, or the person that you're in a relationship while in there, could be a completely different person when you get out. So when it kind of reveals that in there. And then the other one is about the struggles with technology upon getting out, especially after doing over 15 years. So those 2 short films are coming out. It should be like within the next month or so.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
So about the time that this will be hitting the presses too, that's fantastic. Golly, Peter, do you think when he's like in a few short months, when he's gotten so big, you think he'll still hang out with little guys like us?
That's another one I'll answer for him without even asking. 100%.
Of course. Yeah.
Well, brother,
I'm trying, man. Every day, I feel like that, I'm very purpose driven. And, I feel that like if you're aligned with your purpose, then you can make decisions in life, and you don't like stray off from that. So a lot of people getting out of prison, and this is kind of my advice to the people that are in prison that'll probably be listening to this or watching this, or even when they first get out. When you get out of prison, you're going to be overwhelmed by a lot going on. So my advice to you, and also the people outside of prison, is the first thing you need to do is figure out what you ultimately want to accomplish in life.
That's right.
If you figure out what you ultimately want to accomplish, then you align yourself with that. And you only make decisions in life as long as it aligns with your purpose and your mission. And that way it keeps you from straying off into doing something you don't want to do. And so as long as I'm aligned with that, I know myself, I know what I could take on, what I can't. And that keeps me going forward. So that's kind of my advice to those guys.
It's fantastic. Fantastic. Well, fellas, like, I can't thank you enough for hanging with me today.
Thanks for having us.
I've had an absolute blast. Again, Peter, you freaking crushed it again. You're spot on. What a guy. What a story. I can't wait to see, like, 6 months from now, where, like, you've been killing it for a minute, but I mean, he just got out and is.
Oh, it's insane. Yeah. That's insane. Yeah.
So, folks, Carlos Vasquez, his Instagram is fire. You got to check it out. Carlos_S_Vasquez.
And don't just go listen to it. Share it too with
That's
someone
right.
you know that can help. Seriously, that's what I tell everybody. Don't just listen to it. Share it with someone you think it can help.
That's right.
Thank you.
That's right.
Ripple effects go in a positive way.
His TikTok is How to Battle, howtobattle.com, and the online course coming. He's new to TikTok. That's right.
I'm new. Yeah, I'm new to that.
And my man, the guy that I first knew as the shot caller, now they both are, but Peter Meyerhoff, Killer Podcast, Roll Call with Chappie, and founder of the Sober Life, SOBR. Got the app coming out June 1st, but if you want the clothing now, before all the new stuff drops. Yes, sir.
Get some tanks or some fresh tanks for the summer.
Yes, sir. That's right. Well, I know my son likes the tanks because he says they make him look, they can show off his muscles.
Good fitting tanks.
So,
man,
right.
Thank you for having us. This was awesome.
Thank you.
Fellas, thanks so much for hanging with me today. Folks, thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Hit Streak. I am your man, Nick Hyder. God bless.